Welcome to all our listeners for our podcast we call Veterans Never Stop Serving. We're privileged to have you listen in today as we highlight another one of our post 9/11 wounded and injured veterans who has graduated from the Sentinels of Freedom Bridge to Education program. Major Derek Abbey, United States Marine Corps, retired, now a Ph.D., so we have to call him doctor, is on with us today. So welcome, Derek. It's good to see you and good to hear your voice.
Thanks for having me, Mike. It's a pleasure to join you.
Yeah, we thought like just to start off a little bit is to talk about your entrance into the Marine Corps, maybe your reasons for joining the Corps and your experiences, and then on to transition and success, and of course education and some of the things you're doing today. The work on the Missing in Action program that you're running, and you've done an amazing job, and you've been on an amazing journey, and I think everybody'd love to hear a little bit about it.
Thank you. I'm happy to share. Yeah, I grew up in the Northwest, in and around Seattle, Washington. I was raised by a single mom who didn't finish high school, and she did everything she could to raise a rambunctious little boy. And then when I was 13, she unexpectedly passed away from a brain aneurysm. So was there one day, gone the next, and my world was flipped upside down. And so went and spent some time with my aunt and uncle, but was quickly on my own. And so I found my way to the Marine Corps really as an escape. And when I was first exposed to the recruiters and stuff, the Marine Corps seemed like a challenge, some way to test myself, but also a way to escape. And so I ran away to the Marine Corps, but it was exactly what a barely 18-year-old without a rudder or sail needed. It was a system that I could succeed in, some structure, and that's exactly what I found. I didn't know that that's what I needed at the time, but it very much was so. And so was initially an enlisted communicator in the Marine Corps, and succeeded, really bought into what it meant to be a Marine, and put all my energy into being a quality Marine. And so I put a lot in the Marine Corps, and they definitely got a lot out of me. And after my first enlistment, I was selected for a commissioning program and sent to Oregon State University to get my undergraduate degree. And at the end of that, I was commissioned a ground officer and had every plan on being a Marine grunt. And when I went to the basic school for 6 months, where all young Marine officers have to go, I was selected for an aviation contract, and I found myself in the F-18 community. F-18 was a backseater. And during that time, it was when I was in flight school, actually, was when 9/11 happened. And when I was finishing flight school, I got fast-tracked at the tail end of it to join my squadron, me and two other guys, because they knew that OIF was going to kick off. So we quickly finished flight school, joined VMFA 121, deployed right away to Kuwait, and started flying Operation Southern Watch missions. And I was actually over Iraq when the war kicked off. And so did the whole push north, came back multiple times, did Fallujah 2, Fallujah campaign, another trip to Iraq in the F-18. And then after an extended and successful time in the Hornet, I left the Hornet community and went to the Special Operations community when we stood up Marine Special Operations Command, and became a plank holder original member with 1st Raider Battalion, as it's recognized now, and 1st Marine Special Operations Company, Delta. So as their air officer, ended up becoming their XO, and got to run around with those guys, some pretty impressive individuals. And
yeah, I'd say, tell me just real quick though, what does a backseater do in the F-18? Is it weapons? Is it threat assessments? Is it anti-missile stuff? I mean, I never really understood what a backseater is.
Yeah, I tend to say it's everything except for the stick and rudder stuff. So communications, radar, weapons, coordination, all sorts of different things. The 2-seat F-18 platform, the F-15 platform, I think are incredible close air support assets. Just two people working to support the guys on the ground when they're in dire need, can be very, very efficient. And that was the mission that I was most proud of. And another way to look at it is especially on the bombing side, when you think of like World War II and a B-24 that had 11 guys on it, you had folks flying the plane, and then the 10 others, that's what the backseater does.
Right, right. Well, I can tell you from personal experience, close air support definitely saved one of my son's lives and protected the other two while they were overseas in the Ranger units. They really depended on the close air support from Air Force and Navy and Marine Corps air assets. So
Yeah, it was my favorite mission to do.
they said that when they heard you guys coming in low, that was the best sound they ever heard when they were out on missions. They knew they had somebody watching over and taking care of the guys out in front of them, the bad guys, and so they really appreciated and valued what you did over there.
Yeah, it was an incredible mission, and some of the best times that we'd have would be communicating with those folks in dire need on the ground, and you'd come in to support them. And many times if we were doing strikes or other things, they would key the handset when we were coming in so we could hear the outside as well and what they were experiencing. And many times on the backside of that was a lot of grateful cheers from all the folks on the ground.
Yeah, good stuff. So you're off onto you did the transition from injury. How long did that take you in the rehabilitation, physical rehabilitation side?
Well, so my injuries and disabilities, if you will, are from just chronic. Over time, I did 23 years in the Marine Corps, lots of deployments,
Right.
and so number of injuries to my back and other areas. And so really it was just a matter of dealing with the wear and tear of spending an entire career in the Marine Corps with multiple deployments overseas. And the F-18 is when you're under G's can be a lot of strain on the body and cause a number of injuries. And same thing on the ground when I'm sure you've talked to several veterans and experienced just carrying those loads on the ground underweight and over time.
Yeah, it's cumulative. It adds up. Even my sons, are having issues with backs and knees from multiple jumps. So it's not uncommon, and it is, if you can't perform your work in the Marine Corps, it's time to get out and go in the civilian sector. So you were very successful with that, and you got your Ph.D. from University of San Diego. And now I think the story is, I always say you guys never stop serving. And here you are running a foundation to help families with closure and finding their sons, husbands who have been missing in action for years in different theaters. So I'm really interested to hear about that.
Yeah, the organization is Project Recover, and it's been around in some capacity for close to 3 decades. I've actually been a part of it for more than 18 years now. Started off as a member in the organization and then grew as a team leader. And as the nonprofit grew, became a board member. And then a little over 3 years ago, when I finished my PhD, they asked me to come over and take over as president and CEO. And so I've been a part of it since I was actually active duty.
Wow.
And our mission is exactly as you said. We do search missions, documentation missions, recovery missions of Americans missing in action from our previous wars all over the world, in both the underwater environment and the terrestrial environment, and have had a lot of success. And our mission continues to scale. It's a very important mission. There's still more than 80,000 Americans missing in action from our previous wars, going back to World War II. And that translates to millions of Gold Star family members across our nation that are waiting for answers. And we believe that when you swear an oath to the Constitution and you don the cloth of our nation, that we as a collective make a promise to that individual and their family that should they fall in battle, we'll do everything that we can to bring them home. And the circumstances of war have resulted in, as I mentioned, more than 80,000 still missing, but that promise doesn't have an expiration date. And so we're doing everything that we can to bring them home and provide answers to those families that have sacrificed the most. And it's an incredibly humanitarian mission. It's a unifying mission. When you see somebody repatriated to their families and communities, those families come together and the communities come together around them. And healing occurs from the individual level all the way to the national level when that promise is kept. And so we've had a lot of success, and that success continues to grow. We've documented and found sites associated with more than 200 missing Americans. Of that number, 70 have been declared missing, or excuse me, buried at sea by the United States Navy, meaning they'll rest where they lie, and it's expected that the resting place will not be disturbed. 15 have been repatriated, and those cases are closed, and more than 100 cases are still open, meaning we've done a recovery mission. The identification process is going on right now, or a recovery mission needs to take place. And every single day we're adding to that number. We're sending out teams all the time. We just had teams come back from Croatia with an incredible underwater discovery, probably the most significant underwater MIA discovery ever. We located 5 sites, and we know what 3 of them are. We still have to confirm the other 2, but the 3 that we know are associated with 23 missing Americans. And so now we're moving into the next steps of what to do to recover remains from those sites, identify them, and get them back to their families.
Well, it's an outstanding mission, and you're the perfect guy to run it. And I'm sure you have a lot of support or supporters, but tell us what the website is to get to Project Recover. So if people are interested in learning more, or donating to your cause, we can get them directed that way.
Yep, projectrecover.org is the website. Try and keep it as simple as possible. And of course, we appreciate any donations and support, as we are a charity and rely on the philanthropy of the public to execute this mission. But also, if people have MIAs and their families, we want to hear from them. Or if they have the ability to contribute to this mission and expand it. We're a volunteer-based organization, and so we rely also on people giving their time, their expertise to be successful in this mission. So projectrecover.org is where they can go. They can read all sorts of different stories on discoveries that we've made, repatriations that have occurred, and also what the organization stands for and how we execute our mission.
Nice. Now, the other thing I want you to elaborate on is that when you were at the University of San Diego, you ran the veterans project there for incoming veterans who were trying to get their degree there, maybe struggling a little bit. You guys banded together, took care of each other. I think that's another fabulous story of veterans never stop serving, taking care of each other. And that's I think average American doesn't ever hear these stories. And so
no, probably not. Even in San Diego, which is a very densely populated part of the country when it comes to military, lots of Marines and sailors down there, and fewer airmen and soldiers, but they're still around. And of course, there's a Coast Guard sector there as well. But yeah, we had a great program that I was able to contribute to and be a part of at the University of San Diego over a significant amount of time. When I was getting my master's there, we were doing what we can to establish the program. And then when I retired and came back from my Ph.D., the program was established, and then I ended up running the program for a couple of years. And that was when I was first exposed to Sentinels of Freedom. And we connected a number of our students with Sentinels of Freedom so that they could really go on and not only attain their degrees, but the thing that I'm most proud of my connection to Sentinels of Freedom is it's not only a financial investment to assist student veterans in attaining their education, but really it's a complete investment in that individual so that they can go on and make an incredible impact post-service once they finish that degree. And when I left the University of San Diego, I had to figure out how I was going to, pay for my tuition. I was hired away by San Diego State University to run their program, and Sentinels of Freedom. I became a Sentinel, and they had an incredible impact on me. And I don't think I'd be where I'm at, working at the level that I am, if it wasn't for the support that I received from the organization. And it's greatly appreciated. And I like to think that, that investment in me has had this ripple effect across the community that leads to the success of Project Recover and the other endeavors that I put my energy into.
Well, I have no doubt that you would have succeeded even without us. We may have helped you get there a little faster, but your motivation, drive, your character traits, all those things got you where you are today. And you're right, we do call it an investment. We don't call it a charity. We expect a return, and that return is your success. So it's that's what we call our donors investors, because there's a measurable return on their investment.
I think so. And, I know I do, and I know several other Sentinel scholars that try to give back many times over in the areas that they care about.
Well, our dream here, at least mine, I'm the chairman, CEO, founder of Sentinels of Freedom, and with two other gentlemen, one a retired two-star general and the other one an executive vice president of a big telecommunications company. But we talk quite often and over the years, and the dream is that at some point a Sentinel or a group of Sentinels will take over Sentinels of Freedom. We built it, and now at some point we'll hand it off to you guys, and it continues to serve. Even though we don't have a lot of incoming into the hospitals, we still have a lot of training accidents, shipboard accidents, helicopters, different aircraft, gun range accidents, rollovers, all while they're performing their duty and serving our nation. So we count them also. But we focus in the higher end of the injuries. And we can't take everybody. We don't have unlimited funds. So we really look at the individuals, make sure their heads are in the right spot, that they really have a plan, and we help them with that plan, and then move forward and along the way introduce them to people and opportunities. I was just in there.
There's another thing that Sentinels of Freedom does that I really appreciate, and I think it's very, very important. And you don't focus on the disability or the injury or things like that. You focus on the value of the individuals and what they can contribute, which is really, really important, because the narrative out there in a lot of the parts of the community is this, the military population is broken or struggling, and there are elements that we have to take care of our fellow military members because of injuries and suffering, but that's not the primary characteristic
right.
of military members and veterans. They are a valuable asset in our community. And I think that is what Sentinels of Freedom and you and your colleagues have focused on. And I think it's very important that message is out in there.
Yeah, that's in our talks at our board of directors and everything. Every meeting we have, we talk about a lot of things in general, but it always comes up that we're focused on we call you guys Sentinels. Okay, we're focused on that Sentinels, whether it's a man or a woman, on their potential. We can't do much about the injury. Some of the injuries are lifetime. Can't grow a leg back. You can't fix a back. You can't. There's those cumulative injuries. You're going to have them the rest of your life. With I've got a bad back and arthritis starts to set in at my age. You're going to probably go through the same thing. You carry it for life, but that's not what we're investing in. We're investing in your potential, your future, because we know that investment coming back to the communities will be returned many more times in what that Sentinel does in his community, very much like what you're doing. And the other part is we love how you guys talk together, communicate together, and share your experiences, especially with the new Sentinels coming in. I have somebody that says, I want to get a Ph.D. in this, that, or the other. Well, we've got several PhDs that have graduated the program now. And so we say, well, you should probably talk to Derek Abbey. He went through the same kind of direction you're going, and it might be helpful you to chat with him, and he gives you some rules of the road and lessons learned. And I love that when you guys get together and talk together.
Yeah, I always say I'd rather live vicariously through other people's mistakes than experience my own. I experience enough of my own mistakes. If I can experience somebody else's without
Yeah.
having to do it myself, I'm happy to do so.
Ditto. Well, you got a great little family. You've had challenges in your transition, and you stuck to your goals and objectives. You're doing a lot of good stuff, Derek. I'm really, really proud of you. We're all proud of you and your accomplishments. And we'll do another one of these podcasts in a couple of years, and you'll even have accomplished more. And that's very satisfying to us. You emulate what we talk about. Veterans never stop serving. So thanks all out there in the podcast world for your support and the veterans we serve. Your support helps us meet our nation's responsibility to those who have served and sacrificed much in doing so. They've certainly earned a place at our nation's table of abundance and opportunity. So thank you all out there. And Derek, thank you so much for coming on today. Keep up the good work. Keep us advised of what you're doing. If we run into anybody that has a member of their family that's MIA, we'll certainly get you in touch with them. And if we run into an investor that wants to help you out, we'll certainly share that with you. But I think you're doing some really valuable work. So thank you again.
Well, thank you for having me, Mike. And I'm always appreciative of all the work that you do.
Thank you. Okay, this is Mike Conklin and Major Derek Abbey, retired United States Marine Corps, signing off. Thank you.